Hello. I'm doing good. Yeah, it's actually a really nice day out today, which is nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful out here, but our water is still fast, so we're rowing on the river all that much. When I start coaching on the canal on Monday for Backport Crew.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So
Nice.
I'm coaching Monday nights for the next, maybe it's 5 weeks or 6 weeks. I
Okay.
think I do 5. I miss one because the kids have their awards night. So yeah, but I'm excited about that. So in the evening, no early wake up, but the trade-off is that you miss dinner time. I play 5:45 to
Yeah.
8 or something like that.
And what age group or what is that?
This is an adult learn to row, or no, not row. It's adult, intermediate, and advanced.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not sure what the difference. I guess intermediate would be somebody who has maybe rowed for more than a year, but not necessarily. And I guess advanced would be somebody who's been rowing for years. So I guess that's it. And anybody who's the learn to row or a novice would be anybody who has rowed less than a year.
And do you know how many people you're going to have?
I don't know. My daughter is going to be learning how to cox.
Ooh, okay.
An interesting story. The woman who runs the Brockport team is a teacher at my daughter's school. So she knew her, and of course, she knew me through rowing. She knows my kids through school. And she's, would Emma want to try it? And I talked to Emma about it, and she seemed okay with it. And I said, they have a coxswain learning meeting. So I said, go to the meeting, learn about what they have to say. And if you want to do it, you can come on the weeks that I'm going. And then I was like, try it for the next 6 weeks with me. And then if you really enjoy it, when summer kicks up, you can go over there whenever you want. It's equidistant from Genesee Waterway Center, which is about 23 minutes from our house. This is probably about 26 minutes from our house. So still both not very close.
Yeah.
But they're a newer club, and she's a sophomore in high school, so she'd have another 2 years to kind of help them out. And she's not coxswain size. She's built like me, so she's probably only 5'4" right now, and super small. I'm a thicker build than most, and my daughter kind of is following after me, so she's not super skinny and light. So it wouldn't necessarily be something that she'd want to do, but I mean, she potentially could be a good men's coxswain. I mean, I don't know. She has things going on right now. She's got track that she loves. Loves that because of her teammates and school. And then she has synchronized swimming, which I've been pushing for her to contact all the synchronized swimming schools because she's a sophomore. And there's only 10 of them. A really small grouping of schools.
Yeah.
I'm like, just start reaching out to these coaches, see it writes you back. There's some big name schools like Ohio State, and I think maybe Michigan has a team, and it's an interesting list. A couple of private colleges on there. Maybe I'll pull up the list and you can, because you know a lot about all the different schools. You could tell me, because I don't recognize all the names on there and I haven't quite researched all of them. So maybe we'll do that on a podcast at one point or another, or we can do it right now if we don't have anything to talk about. But you could talk about this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I want to hear all about the end of your season, too. But yeah, so we had states this weekend. New York State champs for Scholastic in Saratoga, New York. And the weather wasn't great on Saturday. Luckily, my kids didn't race on Saturday. We did go up in the morning to see some of the boats launch, to just wish them luck and cheer for them as they could actually hear us because you're near the launch docks. And then the plan was we were going to watch the race on the other side as we were kind of walking out. But the rain was kind of coming down a lot. The kids were getting kind of just not really, they weren't feeling great. Hannah ended up getting sick. So I'm glad we got out of there when we did. But now I'm kind of like, probably shouldn't have gone at all. But whatever. It was good. The girls, freshman 8, made it to nationals. So they qualified.
Oh, nice.
So that was cool. A bunch of those girls, that's just so exciting for them. They got a really nice group of girls. They were all friends going into this and then joined crew as middle schoolers, or this year. We have a bunch of new people this year from that group. And we had a little get together for the girls at our house on Friday night, and they made hair ribbon bows and had pasta, and it was really fun. They had a good time. So that was fun. And our novice girls for won the race, I think, or they got first scholastically. So that was really exciting too. There's no qualifier for that one for either nationals, but it was just really neat to see it. And they, in order to do the novice, which our team doesn't usually get to row novice because they count any years you've rowed, even if it's in middle school. And most of our rowers start sometime at middle school. So if you're rowing at states, usually we do have some of our middle schoolers who compete in states, but usually we don't have enough to put it together a boat that have only been rowing less than a year by the time they're in high school. But we did have that. So the great we were able to put together was some of the girls from the 8, and then there's a sister, an older sister who just started rowing this year of a 9th grader. And then we have a 10th grade boy who just started rowing this year, who they were able to quickly teach how to cox.
Oh.
He's the tallest one, of course, in the pictures. Luckily, he's pretty tall and thin, so he could kind of fit into the boat.
Yep.
But yeah, that was an amazing surprise that they did so well. And they're a good group of kids. Throw them together, and you never know what's going to happen. And the weather was like I said, it was rainy on Saturday, but I'm sure the water was probably a little bit better. It was just that kind of crummy, like rainy, cool, damp. Ugh. But on Sunday, and I'm maybe later on Saturday, I wasn't up there, so I'm not sure. It was just windy, like really like different winds all day long. You're just dealing with it. And some of the races, they were definitely delayed because they could not get those boats lined up. At the end of the day, that was definitely the case. They did start some of the races as like a quick start.
Yeah.
And I think some of them really had an advantage because of that. Like they were not lined up very well. And that was right before they ended up canceling the B and C finals at the end of the day because they were running behind and they had just had so many boats up at the start waiting around. And Hannah and Keegan's races were towards there was one race after Keegan's, and then Hannah's race was right before Keegan's. Keegan was in the freshman boys 8, and Hannah was in the senior, or this one's called the varsity girls double. This coming week, it's the senior girls double at Stotesbury. But yeah, and so they did. So neither rode on Saturday, but then between all of the Stocktons, there were 6 races on Sunday.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, so Hannah had her pair. That was the first one, the time trial.
Yep.
And they did well in the time trial and they qualified for the final. I think there was a total of 11 and they needed to do top 9 to get to the final. And I think they got, oh boy, I have this up on my phone somewhere. They made it. It was close, but there was a lot of club entries. They're a scholastic entry. So the nice thing is that it wasn't that hard to medal because there was only a couple scholastic entries in the pair. There's no qualifier for nationals for the pair. That's probably why. But let's see. So for the girls pair in the final, they got 8th place, 2nd place scholastically, and their time was 7:59. That first pair, oh man, it was fast. That's the Row America Rye boat was really fast.
Don't fast.
And I think it was the final, yeah, because the time trial, they're just constantly moving people. But for the final, that was the first final she had, and they were chasing the launch because the launch was ahead of them, trying to keep up with the leaders. So Anna was not happy. Because you're already dealing with difficult conditions and a pair, and then you're dealing with a wake on top of the difficult conditions. So yeah, she was pretty miserable when she got off the water for that one. She was sick too. So I ended up splurging. It was Mother's Day, so I figured I could. There's a marina right across the street, and I just paid the $40 for the day because we had to be there at 6 o'clock to drop her off for her first race. And then Keegan's last race was scheduled to be like over around 6 o'clock. So I figured we're here all day. I'm not going anywhere. I'll just park the car. And then if Hannah or the kids want to take a break and just sit in the warm car if they're cold or whatever. So, and that worked out because she couldn't really take any good substantial breaks because she had her time trial for the pair, then the time trial for the double. And the double, they got, let's see, the girls, there were 30 boats total. So they ended up getting ninth place overall. So they made it to the final A, and they ended up getting third scholastically overall.
Okay.
So they came away with 2 medals. So that was exciting.
Right.
Yeah. And then Keegan had his time trial towards the end of the morning. And he was very excited in the time trial to beat one of the Chaminade boats. That's where his grandfather, my dad, went.
Oh,
He did not row there back in the day. I don't think they had a rowing team back in the day. But Chaminade, I don't know if you've ever been at a race where Chaminade was. They come and they just have a ton of kids, ton of boys. It's a boys only school. There was 3 Chaminade boats in his race, and they beat one of them. So 4 of the boys that were in his boat, not Keegan wasn't one of them, also raced in the freshman quad event, which was kind of close to the 8's time. So there was a lot of hot seating and like trying to wait for them to get to the dock so that they could get out. Somebody else could get their boat and those kids could get hands on the 8. So that happened for both the time trial and the final. The final was more of an issue. It actually didn't end up being an issue because they were the last boat of their event to launch because of it, but everybody else was just sitting at the start. They were just waiting and waiting. And even Keegan said, even with having to hot seat, they probably felt a little more rushed, but they got up there and they still had to wait. So it kind of worked out fine. We also we had the freshman girls on Saturday qualify for nationals. The junior girls quad had the fastest scholastic time. They got the 3rd fastest time overall in the time trials, but then the finals didn't go that well. So I don't remember what their place was overall, but I think their coach is going to try to petition for them to go to nationals to Tennessee. We'll find out. And then the boys quad, that was the 4 boys from Keegan's freshman 8. I think they're going to try because they had a really good time and they were second. Scholastically, you have to be top 1 to qualify for that event. And they were pretty close to that time. So they're going to see what they could do with that. But I'm not sure if that's going to work out either. So, yeah. So we still don't exactly know who's going to Pittsford and who's going to Tennessee. So we're still working on all that. I got to figure out that soon. Or I don't figure it out, but I got to know that soon so that I can help sort out chaperones, who's going where, hotel rooms, how many do we need in each place, and all of that.
Oh my goodness. It's tough because they're on the same weekend, but it's good that it's not 2 separate things that you have to plan for that one for everybody and then that one for whoever's going. So oh my gosh, it's a lot of work. And then Scholastics will be Friday, Saturday, right? Is it Thursday, Friday, Saturday? Is that how that race runs? And then Pittsford is Saturday, Sunday, right?
Saturday, Sunday, yes. I think you're right with the racing, but because it's so far, we have...
Are you guys on Wednesday and then...
I think, yeah. So I think they are. I think they're leaving Wednesday.
And they're driving, right? The trailer, of course, has to drive. And then are you flying your team down, or are they...
I don't know. I don't know how much I'm going to be involved in all that planning just because neither of my kids are going. I don't know, but I'm assuming mostly driving, and then it's probably trailer sharing. And my guess, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm guessing it's going to be maybe Niski's trailer, and then Burnt Hills and Shen are going to share if there's enough room for all of those. I don't know how many boats each of those teams qualified. I would imagine that would probably work, but I'm not sure. But that is usually what we do. We're all very close together, and it just ends up making sense, especially when you go that distance, to not have to haul 2 trailers down if you don't have to.
Oh my gosh, definitely. Because that's the hard part about it is just you don't know and then you're going to be petitioning a couple or in trailers. And I always find when you trailer with another team, it's always tough as far as space when you get there. Because the trailer kind of defines a space at a, you know what I mean? And if you're sharing and you want to have space outside of the other people that were there. So it's almost, I think of like when you go to the Charles and you share a trailer and they're just like, you've got one boat, but then you've got to kind of carve out space for just your boat and your team and kind of stuff with little skinny, like space, even though but whoever has the trailer then they feel comfortable sitting on their trailer and using that as a space, and kids are lounging there. But if it's not your trailer, I always kind of felt a little, I don't know, uneasy about the kids, because the kids will end up spreading out. They'll have their backpacks and their stuff, and they'll try to put up a hammock on somebody else's trailer. And like, it's really their trailer, so we need to find another spot to set up camp, basically. Yeah. The regatta. So it's always, I always find it's cool because then you don't have to worry about bringing your trailer. But then as far as laying out your space when you get there, you have to figure out how you're going to claim this 50 feet. This is where we're living for the next day or so. So yeah. I'm excited for your team. Not only great, and for the kids. You guys do Stotesbury?
Yeah, so we're gearing up. I've got the roster in front of me. I'm just waiting for the coach to give me a final say on if everybody is good on my list, because I have to send it over to the school so that they get their excused absence. And yeah, so we leave Thursday morning and then get down there. Hopefully we try to get down there about 1:30-ish so that they can rig, they can get a practice in, and then we can get either directly to dinner, or sometimes if we have enough time, go to the hotel, check in, and then go to dinner. Yep. And we have this one Olive Garden. So last few years, we've been staying in this town that's in New Jersey. So it's not super close, but the year before we started, so it would have been Hannah's freshman year. She didn't row that year. The team stayed in downtown Philly. Mm. The person who used to do all of the travel planning, she was really good at it, but they just found that anytime it was impossible to just, even though they're close, they would try to walk places. But if you're hauling stuff, it's really hard to do that and walk. So then they were still driving everywhere, and anywhere they drove, it would just take forever because you're downtown and parking, and it's really expensive to park. So I think she just decided that one year when Hannah's first year happened that they were going to go to the suburbs. And it just works out so much nicer. It's a little bit of a hike to get to the camp, to the race course, but you're only doing that twice during the day. Yeah. You stage out when people have to leave from the hotel. You get them to the race course, which is usually early and on the weekend, so the traffic's not too bad. So it might take a total of 40 minutes, but the kids are usually getting dropped off. So it's not like they're having to walk, really. It's the driver that might have to walk. But when you're back at the hotel, you've got places that are like down the road that you can drive to and park and grab food at, not McDonald's, but you could go to Walmart. You could go to Walmart and you can grab a bunch of Gatorade and snacks. Or there's the Olive Garden, and the Olive Garden we've been using the last few years. So the same woman was doing it for the last 2 years, and we've been down there not just for Stotesbury, but for SRAs for both years. So they've been doing Olive Garden for at least one of the dinners. Yeah. So she got to know the team. And so when the lady who's helping with the food planning, I'm doing the hotel, she's doing the food, called the manager there. The manager was like, "Oh my gosh, Sean," I know exactly what you need to do. We got this all taken care of. We're all set. So it's really nice. And we're not staying at a different hotel, but it's in the same location. There's tons of hotels in that area. So even if the parents couldn't get a room, there's still plenty of places that they could get rooms. Yeah, so that's worked out for us. So we're sticking with that. And it should be good. I don't know. Stotesbury is fun. It's a trip. Some of these kids, it's their first trip together. The ninth graders, they don't go anywhere. They didn't do, all of our races are local. Yeah. We're lucky to be so close to Saratoga, but this is their first away with the group. And then the weekend after, the ninth graders will all get to do it again. Well, it's good for the future of the team. I think we've got a really good outlook. We're sorting through some old culture stuff we're getting through that, but the new group of kids are just really energetic, really enthusiastic. They're a great group of kids. Older kids are a great group of kids too, but it's nice to see the energy and enthusiasm and just the positivity. We got some younger coaches. There's a lot of positivity there. So it's exciting. I'm excited for the future of the team. And you met Oh, by now, everybody will hopefully have heard from Shelby's episode. She's got a lot of great ideas and enthusiasm. Yeah, so that's what's going on our team in our area.
Cool, very cool. We just got back from NERCS, which was in Worcester. I'm saying
Worcester.
Worcester. Yeah, every time I say it wrong. We went down there and we left because the actual race was on Mother's Day. So it was on Sunday. And we left on Saturday morning. And we had made pretty decent time. We got there probably around 1-ish. Coxswains needed to weigh in. Some of the coxswains, I totally forgot about the coxswains weighing because we haven't, did they weigh in at States? I don't think they had to weigh in at States. But I'd forgotten about how you get the bag of sand and like each one gets a different amount and all that good stuff. That was good. They got weighed in. We rigged the boats. We realized that one of the boats got damaged on the trip. And it wasn't until we were standing and actually looking at the trailer, it looked like it was one of the fours. And so it was like on a lower rack. And we think what happened was like maybe a truck clipped it, just like one of these. And it was like an empacher. And of course, the honeycomb, it was like a pressure fracture, like all on the one side on the inside of the boat. So we didn't see it until we were like all standing there. And it totally snapped the rudder system and everything. So the boat was not long and short. I think the boys borrowed a boat from, I'm going to get this wrong. It was either Tufts or Coast Guard.
Okay.
And then we brought back a boat. I think RBC was getting a boat from Tufts. So that came back. That's supposed to come back on our trailer. So we had an extra 4 on our trailer. It was like a very interesting kind of turn of events. But that boat did get a chance to row. We did send everybody out on the course to practice. But like you said, Saturday was rainy and cold and windy and miserable. So the athletes went out and they did maybe a loop or two and then came back inside. And then we headed over to the hotel. Everybody was sick. A lot of the athletes were sick. And I think it's just a combination of it's this time of year. They're like at the peak of their training. They're at the peak of their brain usage too. I feel like they were just really fatigued. A little bit of Dayquil and some sleep and some ibuprofen and all. We're holding it together with some duct tape and glue
And cough medicine.
and cough medicine because it was like we had just enough people. One of our alternates couldn't come because she was sick. One of the girls in my boat had been sick the week before. One of the girls in the 8 had been sick the week before. I was sitting between the kid who was in front of me was talking about feeling nauseous on the way home, and the girl behind me was just coughing up a lung. I was like, oh my gosh. 6 or 7 hours inside of the sick ward on the traveling bus. But they did a great job. So the varsity 8, they made it to the 3rd final.
Okay.
But they had the fastest time in the 3rd final. So they won the race pretty spectacularly. So that was just fun to watch. It was good for seniors to have their final race be such a successful one. And that first varsity boys been working so hard. They've been really focused on their erg scores, their strength. They've been lifting. They've been doing all the things. And then their technique too. They've just been really cleaning up. They're just so particular with what their finish looks like. They're really getting good with how they were dropping their catches in. They were doing all the right things to get as fast as they possibly could. But there were a lot of fast schools.
Yeah, I'm looking at the results. There are some fast schools on here.
Yeah, there are some very fast schools. So they did a great job. They made it to the petite final. And I believe
I was in the best.
Yeah, they came in 5th. And I believe that either they held their position or they held their position as far as, or no, maybe they were seated 4th in that race potentially, and they came in 5th. I'll have to look at I thought I had my little paper by me, but maybe I threw it out. My little.
They got 4th in the heat, it looks like.
Maybe that's what I'm confusing. I think maybe their time was 5th. So they maintained their time that they had. There was a bit of a cross headwind in the heats, and then it turned into like almost a true headwind in the finals. So the times for the finals were a little significant. I wouldn't say, maybe significantly slower. And I know for the 4 that I was working with, and that was probably the 3rd or 4th time they had rowed together. like actually in lineup because of all the illnesses and because of the way that varsity sports work. The priority is the eights. And so if someone in the 8 is sick, someone from the 4 comes up. And if there's a spare, someone goes into the 4. So it was like we were just playing musical chairs. Like every day I'd show up and the plan would be for that 4 to go out, and then I would get pillaged. Somebody would have to go and row up in the 2V because so-and-so was sick. The 4, they came in last in their heat. They came in second in the petite final, but there were only 2 boats and they were against Ithaca. But their goal was to really, we were talking a lot about just sustained power and being able to, and this is mostly novices. There's no novice category for a lot of these races. Teaching the novices, getting them to learn how to hold rate and then hold power. I had the person who sat in stroke. She was such a sweetheart. She's been working hard. She's been coming to every practice. I think if you come to every practice and there is this musical chair thing going on, that you should be given the shot to stroke. You should learn about the position. And so she stepped up to the plate. And towards the end there, she was really getting good, especially we'd be on the ergs and I could just watch her. She was getting to the point where she can hold a rate and she could hold a split. It could be the variable people behind her that like there's that dance between the stroke person producing the power and leading, and then the people behind them not just being like, oh, it's getting hard, so I'm gonna take a couple light strokes. So we were really working on just, we can't slow down. Once the boat is up to speed, it should stay up to speed, and we really were trying to work on that. And they did a nice job as we reviewed the speed coach. They did a nicer job of this than they did at Liberties. So I feel like they did, the point of, especially for those not younger novice athletes, is to make sure they learn something about what's the expectation for the next step for the next year. And Ethan gave them a big talk about, the head coach gave them a big talk at the hotel about what are we looking for the future? What are we working on? The team is ranked. I don't know if our ranking changed based on what happened this past weekend. We were 13th. It's a matter of working on that progress and then not taking it easy over the summer. We talked a lot about cross training. We're like, you don't have to get on the rowing machine, but you do have to do something. So to maintain that you're working on your fitness. Anyone out there who's a collegiate rower and needs a program, hit me up. Look at my Instagram, look at my webpage, by the way. But just being able to get everybody in the mindset that this is not the end, this is the beginning of what's going to happen next. And then recruitment too. So you talk to the athletes about, if you see somebody on campus who maybe they were an athlete of some sort and they're not doing a sport right now, maybe they want to have that type of discipline and thing in their life and they don't have it, to make sure that you're talking well about rowing and all the things that it can offer and it can help you have while you're a collegiate athlete, or while you're in college. You could be a collegiate athlete, especially at the D3 level. So it was good. It was a good moment for everybody to wrap up the season for the seniors and then to changing of the guard. And I was talking to a lot of my athletes as they stared at everybody working on the trailer. And I said, no, you got to go over there and learn what you're supposed to be doing. And so it was like a constant, I'm like, come on, you guys. I'm like, come on, Coach Adrien. I'm like, no, you need to learn how to do these things. I'm like, the person who's organizing the oars right now sat and watched somebody a year, 2 years, 3 years ago organizing the oars. That's how she knows how to do them so well. Who are strapping down the boats, we're standing next to somebody who was showing them how to strap the boat down. I'm like, you have to participate in trailer loading and unloading because eventually you will be the senior and you are the person. And then I was telling them, you need to be involved with that because you want to know your equipment's on the trailer. Like, yeah. You don't want your oars to get left somewhere. You don't want your boat not to be strapped down properly. You don't want because they take all of their hardware off and they put it into a hardware box, and the hardware box goes into the trailer. They're like it's like a box with little plastic boxes in it, and all the plastic boxes are labeled for each boat. And so then the actual hardware doesn't stay on the boats, where I've done, most of the time I've always left, you take the rear, you tighten down the hardware and you leave it on the boat. So they don't do it that way. But I was like, you got to make sure that box ends up in that box and that box ends up in the trailer or in the truck. But you just want to have a general idea of how all these things are happening, because one day you'll be responsible for it. There won't always be upperclassmen, and they kept joking around. They're like, Coach Adrien, I can't grow up. I'm like, you're growing up right now. It's happening. This is life. They're going. It was funny because some of the seniors are like going to start their grown-up jobs. They're like, I'm going to be a grown-up next week, or grown up in 3 weeks. And I'm like, yeah, how it works. And this waking up at 5:45, we have to be at the boathouse. It ends. It might seem like there's an endless amount of practices and an endless amount of races and an endless amount of sitting and eating subs and get Panera and going to Chick-fil-A and stopping at rest stop. It's a lot. It happens often during those 4 years, but then it stops. I was trying to get them to enjoy the fact that all those things are happening, and it's interesting watching everybody go through these big transitions. I know that Hannah's transitioning too, and it's interesting, it's fun. And I was thinking to myself, remember that sunscreen song?
Oh yeah, so I saw something.
Yeah, it's there. Yeah, is that time the sunscreen song? And what's the sunscreen of rowing? And I was thinking, don't throw your uni out. If I had to put that out there, don't throw your uni out. But then I found out that they don't give them their unis. I don't know if they get them after senior year. If after senior year they get to keep it, but every year they turn the uni back in a Ziploc bag, and then they get distributed the same uni. But I don't know if they give them the unis at the very end. If they don't do that, I'm gonna push for that they get to keep. Yeah, especially because, and not for nothing, personal item. Like, why are we?
Maybe it makes sense. Like maybe they launder them and then get them ready for the next year or whatever. And they don't want them to lose it, whatever. But yeah, you don't want to be using. People do borrow unis. It happens, right? Or you don't get the order in on time. You got to kind of do a hand-me-down. But yeah, ideally you just have your own personal uni.
Item, because it's in track. My daughter wears like those little shorts that's a personal item. They don't ask for that back. They can have the top, the penny, yeah. But yeah, the actual we've decided unis are personal items. You must. They don't have to buy them though. They don't have to pay for them. Because at D3, there's a couple. They pay for training trip. There's a couple different things that they're responsible for. They do get like a per diem when we go on trips and stuff. So like food is provided, like breakfast on the bus and lunch at the course. On this particular trip, we did like a takeaway dinner for the bus. Yeah. But the bus did stop. So people had the option of buying something on their own dime at rest stop but everybody got a packed dinner because the trip was long. Yeah, they were talking about potentially next year doing the Amex cards for them. So it's just the per diem on the card, and then so they can go to the rest stop and they can pick whatever they want. Though they buy the most ridiculous things. They'll come back with a bag of Nerd Glummy clusters and Pringles. And I'm like, where's your meal? But I like the idea, and I should probably, my time's a little crunched this morning, so I should probably go in a little bit. But I like the idea of them having the food on the bus, because that's definitely a dynamic that I've seen. Just as a mom, I can see that some of the kids have the finances and are able to just to be like, they get the Starbucks and they get their little muffin and whatever. And then there's some kids who you never see them purchase anything when we're on trip. So I like the idea of there being like always being food up in that front seat. And at any point, you can tell there's always 3 or 4 kids on the team who come up to the front of the bus several times to grab things to eat because they're not bringing something with them, or they don't have the finances to do it. So I like the idea that's available for them and that there's plentiful food. They're not going to.
They don't order their own personal meal ahead of time and then eat it on the bus? Is it sandwiches?
It depends. So at this race, they did a personalized meal for lunch and for dinner. An order, it was like Regatta Deli or something like that. They had a bunch of different foods. Some kids ordered a sandwich for lunch and then an actual entree style dinner, which was nice. And they were actually warm by the timing was just right. So the kids ate a hot meal on the bus on the way home. And as a mom, that makes me feel good. And then for state, we had a family that did the tent. Also for this rate, we had a family that did the tent at lunch on race day. Lunch on practice day was the sandwiches. And then it was Chipotle at the hotel and then the hotel had breakfast. But there was breakfast on the bus on Saturday morning when the kids got bagels, peanut butter, cream cheese, fruit. They love those squishy, squishy yogurt, squishy apples. Yeah. I could never eat the applesauce. squishy. I like my kids are like, I don't know, do your kids do those?
Yeah.
My kids don't do those ones. Back in the day, we'd do the little applesauce cups. Like
Mhm.
where I think we used to do the yogurt, like the yogurts that came in the long, those
Oh,
ones.
Go-Gurt, right?
Yeah, the goat. They did a little bit of that, but my kids just never really got into these kids all the time. And like in the boat, when we turn around, they're like, squeeze. I'm like, I'm like, I don't know how that counts as food. I just that maybe this is like the idea of the consistency to me. But yeah. But I'm glad that there's plentiful food. And then also at the training center, they have a refrigerator there. So any extra food, they take the bagels that don't get eaten, they put them in the freezer, any cream cheese, and that's in there. And the kids can get in and out of they shouldn't go into the training center and actually train without an adult being there, but they can go into the training center really at any point and grab something out of there. So I don't know how often any of the kids actually do that. Go in and get a bag of bagels and a thing of cream cheese, but all that stuff.
Training center where? The one in Worcester?
No, the training center back at home. So after all of the competitions and stuff like that, and then they keep the Gatorade canisters there. I think the food kind of starts to pile up after the training trip, and they brought home the Gatorade and a couple different things, like boxes of stuff that went on the trailer home. Had snacks at the course, so anything that was shelf stable and didn't get eaten got brought back to the training center. So and then when we travel, anything that's shelf stable or can be refrigerated or frozen goes into this refrigerator. And the kids know that's there and they can access that whenever they want. So that's another, I just don't want them to starve.
Yeah.
Out and all that good stuff. But yeah, they have a pretty decent system. They don't have a, what do they call it? Like a snack canteen or what's the official name that they probably told you guys on when you visited colleges for the snack area?
Oh, the fuel station?
Fuel station. They don't,
Yeah.
they don't have a formal fuel station, but there are areas to get food.
Yeah.
Probably all they need to do is probably slap a sign on the
Yeah.
it's called the fuel station. And then prepare a fuel station.
So what are you said the families do the food tent? And is it just a volunteer and they get signups and stuff?
Yeah, one of the family we had one family host at Liberty Lee's and we had another family host at Nurse. So they did the whole thing. Bless their hearts. The family that did it at Nurse did potato leek soup and they had pulled chicken or maybe it was pulled pork, one or the other. They had a really great kale salad with quinoa and fresh vegetables, which I thought was smart because kale will hold up all day. It gets more and more tender as you go without it getting kind of mushy.
Yeah.
What else they had? Oh, they had all the regular staples, bagels, cream cheese, cookies, donuts. Oh my gosh, I think I ate way too many sweets. Because every time I went over there, I was like, oh, I'm really want food. Just something to grab and snack on. And of course, they had the little tangerines, and little mangoes, and fruit. Yeah, it was very good. It was quite the spread. So it was really good. People didn't go without. And then same thing for Liberty Lee's. That was like a morning thing. So they had like breakfast quiche kind of casseroles. And what else did they have? A lot of pastries, like little pastries, and donuts, and those types of things, and bagels. Of course, that's just bagels, and with the peanut butter and the cream cheese. Yeah, it was really nice. It was nice to meet some of the parents and introduce myself. And it's funny because some of them have either found this podcast. Someone told me that they our podcast.
Thanks for listening.
So that was really neat. And yeah, or some people have followed me on Instagram because I posted just a little bit. Most of the stuff I post on my Instagram that's from the team. I try to keep the kids in shadow. Like you can see people are rowing, but it's not necessarily like and see their faces. They have a photo stream that they share between the whole team. And if I have personal photos where you can really tell who was in the photo, those are where all those pictures go. But I love taking really great Vista type pictures. And that's been I've gotten a lot of B-roll out of this. A lot of B-roll this weekend. I've got to sort through that and give that to my virtual assistant so she can make it into some cool posts. But it was really fun watching all the really great rowing, and it just warms your heart, like seeing the different teams and the ones who win and they're screaming and they're so excited. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, going to remember that forever. And seeing the kids turn on the music and being like kids and just dancing around and goofing off each other. So I was like, the rowing still brings that out in people, and that really nice.
So I will be at Pittsburgh. So we have to start planning what we're going to do.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
You could still come.
Yeah. Which you guys are you guys going to be rowing? You row on the Sunday? Is there's some?
We think we usually do both because
Both
we
days,
usually
okay.
have people who scull and who do sweep. And I think that's how they split it up.
Okay. But I'll be there. But if you're there all day Sunday, I'll be there just to chill on Sunday because I won't no masters rowing or anything on Sunday.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So excited.
Yeah. I'm excited to go back to Pittsburgh. It should be fun.
Yeah, it is. It's a nice event, and they got the brewery right there, and they got the ice cream and the crepes and the Greek restaurant. It's just a really cool little spot to kind of hang out. So that'd be very fun. Ooh, maybe we should do a podcast from there. We should set up and do maybe not live, but do maybe just a podcast episode, and maybe as people walk by, we could have them come on and sit down and talk rowing or something.
That'd be great.
Think about it. We'll noodle
About it.
that'll be fun to kind of have a junior special and some of the juniors rowers as they walk by. I'm sure some of them would love to be on the podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
Have a fabulous rest of the week. And
Too.
I'm excited to hear more about how things go at Stotesbury. And so enjoy your time in Philly. And
We got a couple guests signed up. I know Molly is planning on joining us.
Martin to join us. That's
I think I'm finally going to get Courtney on.
oh
Yeah.
oh yay. Yeah, keep me posted on that. That'd be awesome.
Sure, will do. All right. Have a good week, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to the episode. We have partnered with the Crew Stop. Do you need new rowing gloves? Save 15% with the code ROWINGONTHESQUARE when you purchase gloves or apparel from crewstop.com. More details in the show notes. If you'd like to talk to Adrien regarding your rowing needs, check out the show notes also for her call links and her website, rowingonthesquare.com, for details. Help grow the pod and follow us on the Instagram at rowingfriendspod. Happy rowing, everyone!